If you are 60, 70, or 80 years old, and you are watching this video right now, I want you to stop whatever else you're doing for the next few minutes, because what I'm about to share with you could be the difference between spending your final decades in comfort, dignity, and independence, or spending them in and out of hospital waiting rooms, dealing with pain you didn't have to deal with, and asking yourself, why didn't anyone tell me this sooner? Because here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. Almost every man who lives long enough will develop some kind of prostate problem. Not maybe, not if you're unlucky. Almost every single one. And yet, most men walk around for decades completely unaware of the small, simple, almost invisible habits that could have protected them. They find out too late. They find out after the diagnosis, after the biopsy, after the surgery, after the sleepless nights getting up 4, 5, 6 times to use the bathroom, after the fear sets in, and by then so many of the choices that could have made a real difference have already slipped by, quietly, day after day, year after year. So today, I am not going to give you vague advice like eat healthy or see your doctor. I am going to walk you step by step through 5 specific habits backed by real science that men in their 60s, 70s, and 80s need to know and need to start today, not tomorrow, not next month, today, because your prostate does not wait for you to get around to it. Stay with me, because habit number 3 is the one almost nobody talks about, and it might be the most important one of all. Let's start with something most people misunderstand completely. The prostate is a small gland, roughly the size of a walnut, sitting quietly beneath the bladder. Most men never think about it until it starts causing trouble. But here is what's fascinating, and what I think everyone deserves to understand. The prostate is incredibly sensitive to everything you do, what you eat, how you move, how much you sleep, even how much stress you carry in your shoulders and your mind. The prostate is like a mirror. It reflects the choices your body has been making for years, sometimes for decades, and by the time you're 60, 70, 80 years old, that mirror has had a long, long time to develop a very clear picture. The good news, and I really want you to hear this, is that it is never too late to change what that mirror reflects. Never. The body has an incredible ability to adapt, to repair, to protect itself, even later in life, if you give it the right signals. So let's talk about those signals. Let's talk about the 5 habits. Habit number 1, what you put on your plate, especially the color red. There is a reason certain cultures around the world have dramatically lower rates of prostate problems than others, and it is not just genetics, it is diet. Specifically, there is a compound called lycopene, found richly in cooked tomatoes, in watermelon, in pink grapefruit, that has been studied again and again for its relationship with prostate health. And here's something most people don't realize. Raw tomatoes are good, but cooked tomatoes, tomatoes that have been simmered into a sauce, roasted, crushed, cooked with a little olive oil, actually release even more of this protective compound. Something about the heat and the oil helps your body absorb it more efficiently. Think about that. A simple bowl of tomato sauce, something your grandmother might have made, something so ordinary you'd walk right past it in the grocery store, contains one of the most studied natural compounds for supporting prostate health as men age. I'm not telling you tomatoes are magic. Nothing is magic. But I am telling you that what colors you eat, what abundance of plants you eat, sends a signal to every cell in your body, including the cells in your prostate, about whether to grow calmly or whether to grow chaotically. And at 60, 70, 80 years old, that signal matters more than it ever has before. So this week, I want you to do something small. Add cooked tomatoes to at least 1 meal a day, a sauce over vegetables, a soup, even a simple can of crushed tomatoes, warmed on the stove, with a little garlic and olive oil. It is such a small thing, and yet it is one of the most consistent findings across decades of research into how diet interacts with the aging male body. But tomatoes are only the beginning. Let's talk about the vegetables that so many people avoid because, frankly, they didn't love them as children. Broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, kale. These are called cruciferous vegetables, and they contain compounds that help the body process and clear out substances that, left unchecked, can contribute to abnormal cell growth. I know, I know, for some of you, the words eat more broccoli make your eyes glaze over. But let me reframe this for you. Every single cruciferous vegetable you eat is like sending a tiny army of protective compounds through your bloodstream, compounds whose entire job, whose entire purpose, is to support your body's natural ability to keep cells behaving the way they're supposed to behave. You don't have to eat a mountain of it. Even a modest, consistent amount several times a week, roasted with olive oil, sautéed with garlic, steamed until just tender, has been associated in research with better outcomes for prostate health over the long term. This is not about perfection. This is about consistency. This is about giving your body the raw materials it needs, day after day, to protect the parts of you that keep you comfortable, keep you confident, and keep you independent. And there's one more piece of the dietary puzzle I have to mention, because I think it surprises people the most. Green tea. There is something quietly powerful about a simple cup of green tea, steeped properly, enjoyed slowly, that has captured the attention of researchers studying prostate health for years. The compounds in green tea, called catechins, appear to interact with the same pathways involved in abnormal cell growth, potentially helping to keep things in check. Now, I am not telling you to throw out your morning coffee, and I'm not telling you tea is some kind of miracle cure. But if you are a man in your 60s, 70s, or 80s, and you are looking for one simple ritual to add to your day, a warm cup of green tea, once or twice a day, is about as gentle, as pleasant, and as evidence-supported a habit as you're going to find. Imagine that. A quiet 10 minutes with a warm cup in your hands, and your body is quietly working in your favor the entire time. Now let's move to habit number 2. And this one surprises people because it has almost nothing to do with food and everything to do with movement. I want you to think about your body as a series of rivers, blood flowing through vessels, carrying oxygen, carrying nutrients, carrying away waste. When you sit for long periods, when the days start to blend together with hours in a chair, in front of the television, at a table, those rivers slow down. And when those rivers slow down, especially in the pelvic region, tissues that depend on healthy circulation, including the prostate, don't get what they need as efficiently as they should. This is why movement, real, consistent, even gentle movement, is so tightly linked with better outcomes for men as they age. You do not need to run marathons. Let me say that again, because I know some of you just tensed up thinking about jogging with your knees the way they are. You do not need to run marathons. What the research consistently shows is that regular moderate movement, walking briskly for 30 minutes most days, swimming, cycling, even gardening if it gets your heart rate up and keeps you moving, is associated with meaningfully better prostate health outcomes compared to a sedentary lifestyle. Walking, something so simple, so accessible, something almost every person watching this can do today, right after this video ends, is one of the most protective things you can do for your prostate as you age. And here's something beautiful about it. Movement doesn't just help the prostate. It helps your heart, your mood, your sleep, your balance, your independence. It is one habit that ripples out into every corner of your health. So if you take nothing else from this video, take this. Get up and walk every single day, rain or shine, 30 minutes if you can. Even 10 minutes is better than 0. Now, here comes habit number 3, the one I promised you at the beginning, the one almost nobody talks about openly, and it might be the most overlooked of all: pelvic floor health, and specifically, learning to listen to your body's signals instead of ignoring them out of embarrassment or habit. So many men, especially men who grew up in a generation that didn't talk about these things, learn to simply push through discomfort. Getting up at night to urinate becomes normal. Feeling like you haven't fully emptied your bladder becomes normal. A weak stream becomes normal. And because it happens slowly, gradually, over years, many men never mention it to anyone, not even their doctor, because it doesn't feel like an emergency. It just feels like getting older. But I want to gently challenge that idea, because changes in urinary habits are one of the clearest, earliest signals your body sends you about what's happening with your prostate. And there is a specific, simple practice that can genuinely help. Pelvic floor exercises, sometimes called Kegel exercises, which involve gently contracting and releasing the muscles you would use to stop the flow of urine midstream. Done consistently, a few minutes a day, These exercises can help strengthen the muscles that support bladder control, which becomes increasingly important as men move through their 60s, 70s, and 80s. It costs nothing. It takes no equipment. You can do it sitting in a chair, waiting in line, watching television, and beyond the exercises themselves, the deeper habit I want you to build is this: stop normalizing symptoms. If something has changed, even gradually, even if it doesn't feel urgent, mention it. Write it down. Bring it up. Your body is talking to you constantly. The question is whether you're finally ready to listen. Habit number 4 takes us back to the kitchen, but this time we're talking about what to reduce, not just what to add. Highly processed meats, excessive red meat, especially meat that has been charred or cooked at very high temperatures, have been studied extensively for their relationship with prostate health, and the research consistently points in one direction: less is better. I'm not telling you that you can never enjoy a steak again. I'm not here to take away every pleasure from your plate. But I am telling you that if red meat, particularly processed meat like bacon, sausage, deli meats, is a daily habit rather than an occasional pleasure, that daily habit is quietly working against you. The same goes for excessive alcohol. A glass of wine here and there is not what we're talking about. We're talking about the slow accumulation, night after night, of habits that place additional strain on a body that is already working hard to keep everything functioning well as the decades add up. And here's the flip side of that same coin. Healthy fats, the kind found in olive oil, in nuts, in fatty fish like salmon and sardines, appear to support prostate health in the opposite direction. Omega-3 fatty acids, found abundantly in fish, have been associated with more favorable outcomes in numerous studies looking at prostate health over time. So think of it this way: every meal is a vote, not a moral judgment, not a punishment, just a vote. A vote for calm, steady, protective processes in your body, or a vote for the kind of chronic, low-grade strain that adds up quietly over years. You don't have to win every vote. Nobody does. But if most of your votes, most of your meals, are going in the right direction, your body notices. Your prostate notices. And now habit number 5, the one that ties everything else together, the one that so many men dismiss as unimportant because it doesn't show up on a lab test the way cholesterol does or blood sugar does: sleep, and the deeper habit underneath it, which is managing stress. I want you to understand something about how your body actually works. When you are chronically stressed, when your sleep is short and broken night after night, your body produces higher levels of certain hormones and inflammatory signals that, over time, create an internal environment that is simply less favorable for healthy aging in every single organ, including the prostate. This is not something abstract or vague. This is measurable, studied, well established. Deep, restorative sleep, 7 to 8 hours when possible, is one of the most underrated tools you have for protecting your body as you age, and managing stress. Whether that's through prayer, meditation, time with grandchildren, time in nature, a hobby that brings you joy, is not a luxury. It is not something you do only once your health is already in order. It is a foundational habit that influences everything else on this list. A body under constant stress does not absorb nutrients as well. It does not respond to exercise as well. It does not heal as efficiently. So if you are lying awake at night, worrying, replaying the day, carrying tension in your shoulders that never quite releases, I want you to understand that this is not just affecting your mood. It is affecting your prostate, your heart, your immune system, every single system working quietly beneath the surface to keep you going. So let's bring this all together, because I don't want you to walk away from this video overwhelmed. I want you to walk away with clarity. 5 habits: cooked tomatoes and cruciferous vegetables, and green tea, feeding your body the protective compounds it needs. Daily movement, even just a brisk walk, keeping the rivers of circulation flowing the way they're meant to. Pelvic floor exercises, and just as importantly, paying attention to your body's signals instead of dismissing them as simply part of getting older. Reducing processed and excessive red meat while increasing healthy fats like olive oil and fatty fish. And finally, protecting your sleep and actively managing your stress, because a calm, well-rested body is a body that heals and protects itself far more efficiently than one running on empty. None of these habits require a prescription. None of them require expensive equipment, or a gym membership, or a complicated regimen you'll abandon in 2 weeks. They require something much simpler, and, in some ways, much harder. Consistency. Small choices, repeated daily, quietly compounding over months and years, until one day you look back and realize that the version of you at 70 or 80 is stronger, more comfortable, and more independent than you ever thought possible at this stage of life. If you are 60, 70, or 80 years old, please don't let this be a video you watch and forget by tomorrow. Pick one habit, just one, and start today. Add tomatoes to tonight's dinner. Take a walk after this video ends. Pour yourself a cup of green tea instead of a second coffee. Small steps, real steps. Because your body has carried you this far, through decades of work, decades of family, decades of life, and it deserves the same care and attention you've given to everything else that matters to you. Take care of it the way it has taken care of you. Claude is AI and can make mistakes. Please double-check responses. If you are 60,